This episode is sponsored by Escape Pain and Faster Way to Fat Loss, certified coach Claudia Montanari. Increase energy, gain lean muscle, improve sleep, decrease inflammation, and change your body with the 6-week program. It starts on January 11th and includes 12 sessions in the Whole Body Light Pod, meal guides and grocery lists, targeted workouts, and one-on-one accountability sessions. Plus, incorporate carb cycling, intermittent fasting, and tracking macros to fuel your body. Spots are limited, so go to escapepain.com and register today. That's XSCAPE pain.com.
Welcome to today's episode of Hustle and Pro. So basketball offseason came and went really fast. So we're jumping back in. So we're going to talk about the start of the NBA season coming up here on the 22nd. And we've got Jay Warren in here to chat basketball with us. Hey, Jay, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Let's start with a couple quick hits because I want to know a couple of your sports favorites and things. Who's your favorite athlete of all time?
Oh, that's MJ, the GOAT. Yeah, MJ is definitely my favorite player. I would put him on top of everybody just in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I know all the younger people are talking about LeBron, and I respect his greatness, but definitely MJ.
Oh, that's a whole nother. Okay, I'm going to write down. Talk LeBron in a minute once we get talking because that's a whole nother thing. Because here, as we record, LeBron just extended his Lakers contract, so we can talk about that for 20 minutes.
We sure could.
All right, so I just did an episode on sports movies, and I asked all my guests, what was your favorite sports movie? What is yours?
Oh, recently it had to be The Last Dance. That right there gave the insights, the back scenes. We were talking about it off air. I mean, I would definitely put The Last Dance up there now.
Yeah, for sure. So good.
Yeah, it was really good.
And I was watching it just amazed at, I'm thinking, how did they get all this footage and hold on to it this long?
That's
right?
a great question.
How did they not release something earlier? Which I'm sure that's a whole fascinating thing just to hear
MJ
about that.
definitely has something to do with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was awesome. It was and then it's how did they also know we're all going to be home?
Well, they didn't know that part, I don't think.
So watch this.
But it was perfect timing when they released it.
Right, we were just
But I know prior to that
something.
season, they were talking about, because they said in the documentary, this is going to be the last dance. So they wanted to record everything.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't know it was going to be 20 years later before we were going to be able to experience it.
Right. It's just you can't recreate that.
Yeah,
So cool.
Dope.
All right, so my last question, I used to ask on my first year of this show, how far did people travel for sports, to watch sports or to play sports? And I'm resurrecting the question for you because it'll bring us into talking about your basketball career. So what's the farthest you've gone to play sports?
So that's so to play, so I've played in China and I played in Australia. I have no idea which one is farther. I have no which one is farther. Yeah.
But they're both far.
But they're both far. I know the farthest flight was from Sydney to Dallas, and that was like a 15, 16-hour flight.
Wow.
Straight flight.
Yeah.
Where you fall asleep and you wake up and you're still on the plane.
You hope you were just dreaming and that you were already home.
You try to sleep some of the time away, and you look at it, and it's been 30 minutes. Yeah, it's one of those flights.
Yeah. All right. So then tell me about your career as an athlete. I'm also curious, what growing up, did you play lots of sports? But then take us through your professional basketball career and where did you play and when did you play?
So football was my first sport. I played, I guess, do they still say Pee-wee? I don't know if they say Pee-wee or not. But
I do.
Okay, there you go. I'm telling my age when I say Pee-wee.
Right.
Through middle school. First year, I think my high school is when I basically stopped. But through middle school, I was playing both sports, but I didn't grow, big like a football player. But I was really fast, so I was like, let me go ahead and give basketball a try. And on a side note, I was thinking during that time, because, I wanted to be professional. I just didn't know how. And I was thinking, football, and it's still about the same to this day. Football players' careers are 3 years. Mm-hmm. Basketballs are 6-7 years. So I was like, let me just go down the basketball route because I wanted to play longer. Basically did, the high school, college thing, and then played pro. Met somebody actually here in Dallas who basically made a connection with me. And then there was a guy that I played in college. He was Puerto Rican, and I went down there because I didn't get drafted. I graduated the same year. Talking about LeBron, it was in 2003. 'Cause I went to school a little later, and me and my brother joke about it all the time. we say, yeah, we're good thing we didn't enter that draft because that was LeBron, that was Dwayne Wade, that was Carmelo Anthony, that was Chris Bosh.
Tough
So
class,
yeah,
yeah.
it was definitely it's a Hall of Fame class. So we weren't getting drafted. But when I when I talked to the guy that I went to college with, I went down to Puerto Rico, and that's kind of where it took off. That's where my career kind of took off. Played around the world.
You mentioned Australia and China.
Yes.
So then how long were you playing?
I played 13 years.
13 years.
13 years, yeah. So I started in South America and then just moved east. So I went South America, played some countries down there. Argentina and Venezuela were my longest stints, and then I started going east, played in Europe, Poland, Serbia, Montenegro, played a little bit in Finland, and just continued to go east, and then ended my career in the Philippines, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of places.
It's a lot of places.
That's great, though, right? It's great exposure. I mean, basketball exposure, right?
Yeah.
As a player and training and just different experiences, but also just to live, like, as a young man, to get to go see other parts of the
yeah,
world.
it's
You would
amazing.
never, right, ever been able to do that otherwise.
Well, I mean, I guess on a side note, when you talk about dreams and stuff like that and writing your goals down, I always knew I wanted to travel the world. I just didn't know I was going to do it through the vehicle of basketball,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have basketball in your family?
Yes, I do. My dad was actually drafted by the Knicks in '79, first Panamanian ever drafted. So he's like a big rock star. He'll never admit it, but I found out when I was playing for the national team that he's a big deal down there.
Awesome.
And then my
What's his name?
Edward Warren.
Okay.
And then my brother, he played 14 years, so he played one more year overseas than I did. So
Oh my gosh.
so yeah, and
Wow.
now we're preparing his son, my nephew. He's 9 years old right now, so I mean he's leaning towards soccer right now.
Uh-huh.
But
Well,
he's good. But he's good in basketball.
As you know, I mean,
Yeah.
at 9, it's great to see talent already, but at 9, like, so much is going to change.
Oh,
They
yeah.
can go down a whole other path of a sport because they haven't even hit those middle school years yet when they're going to get exposed to different teams in school.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like you said, depending on when they grow is when they're on different teams and,
Oh yeah,
when
he's
everything
he's
takes
tall.
off.
He's a tall 9-year-old too, which is I mean, because I didn't grow until after high school. I was like, man,
Yeah.
you're sprinting. You're 9 and you're tall as some of these 7th graders.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned the draft. So, man, we had a different draft this year, right?
Yeah.
Completely different, and it was quick right off the heels of the championship, and it was such a weird year. So I want your input from, well, what you think overall of this draft, but then also just as a player thinking back, like when you were hoping to, maybe be a part of the draft, like what's going through these guys' minds and your overall thoughts on this draft.
So, like so I like knowing that class of draft, I just knew that I wasn't going to ever experience the draft. But looking at this draft, I don't know if it's considered 2019 or 2020. I think it's 2020 because
Yeah.
it's 20 whatever. The kid that has the Ball family, I was wondering where he was going to go. LaMelo, the one that got drafted number 1, I think Anthony Edwards, I think his name was, which he said basketball is not even his first sport, and that's just pure talent.
Right.
Basically getting drafted number 1 off pure talent. So I think it's going to be I don't think it's franchise changing draft.
Right.
Like
It
in
didn't seem
2003.
like
Yeah.
a Zion or anything, right?
Yeah.
It didn't seem like that to me. And maybe I just wasn't as tuned in or something, but it didn't feel like I was hearing as much about
Well, we didn't see the
marquee guys.
We didn't see
that
the
would
March
change.
Madness either,
Yeah.
this past year. So, that's
True.
kind of where you start seeing a lot of these players play and,
Yeah.
with the bright lights and the lights on them and stuff, how they perform. So that's where you can kind of see, because that's where, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, when you start seeing those players and you're like, oh man, they really, they can really play. They know the game.
Yeah, you're right. That's kind of
So-
when they get called out, right?
Yeah.
When you hear their names during the tournament, you do start hearing those names early. And
Yeah.
so, I didn't even think about that. That's why I'm probably not hearing as much. I mean, like the couple names you mentioned is one thing, but a lot of that's just the family marketing and the hoopla around.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah. Right.
He definitely does a great job about that. So
So, what are your thoughts on who the Mavs got?
Josh Allen, right?
Josh Green.
Josh Green.
Josh
Okay.
Green, yeah,
Right.
18th pick. So, do you know much about him?
I know he played for. I think he played for the Australian national team.
Yes, so he was born in Australia.
Okay.
And one thing I learned about him is that both of his parents played.
Yeah. That's
So,
usually the case.
Yeah, so he's got a basketball in his family too. I think he's 6'6", 210.
Yeah,
I think
that's definitely a great size to, at 18, was he 18, 19, something
right,
like
like
that? Yeah.
unusually big and built to as you enter the league, right?
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, those are NBA bodies at 18, 19 with the talent that he has. That you'll get an opportunity for sure. And I mean, with because Australia in that league is really strong, and they have a lot of Australian players playing. Patty Mills and Andrew Bogut. Those guys, have came over here. Joe Ingles too, the left-handed guy from Utah. Yeah, he's from Utah, but because he played in Europe against my brother in
Oh, okay.
Spain, so
Okay.
that's how I'm familiar with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Australians have a lot of players over here. And it's been because they played on that national level and the FIBA and stuff like that. So I think, and I think he went to Arizona. Josh Green, right? Arizona, I believe.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Is it Pac-10 or Pac-12? The Arizona. I don't know. I don't know. Do you know it's Pac-10 or Pac-12?
I think
Okay.
12. I won't. I don't know. That's my guess.
I
but
know
I don't-
I know they changed one of them,
Right.
like the Big 12 to Big 10 or something like that.
Well, and teams moved around even
Yeah.
this season just to play.
But I know he went to Arizona, and I know that he is Australian and was exposed to that national team exposure.
How tall are you?
Me, I'm 6'4".
6'4". Okay.
I'm 6'7" in the league. If I was in the NBA, I would have been 6'7".
Okay. That would be your stat line. And then another guy the Mavs got was Tyrell Terry. So this guy's interesting to me just because I was just talking to you about him. He's out of Stanford, and he wanted to go somewhere where he was going to get a really good education. He's really smart. This guy broke the record for the draft IQ test.
Oh wow! Do you know what the draft IQ test is?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
Never
whatever
heard
it
of
is, he's smart,
that. Yeah.
right?
Oh, well, he went to Stanford. So.
Yeah. But he was like, yeah, the test didn't seem particularly difficult to me. I'm like, well, all right then.
Yeah, that's probably
All
the
right.
entry thing just to get into Stanford.
Yeah, but I mean, so whoever he is, he's smart. So he's known for his shooting.
Okay.
So what we're talking about with him is how good, coupled up with Luka, he likes his getting no look passes and shooting off the pass. And so he was talking about getting drafted, and he didn't want to get a phone call before the draft. He wanted to watch it on TV and hear his name called and get the authentic reaction and feel what it feels like to hear your name called by a team, which is kind of exciting,
Yeah, that's
kind
pretty
of old
cool.
school and cool.
Yeah.
But then Mark Cuban calls him and Donnie Nelson calls him, and then he said a few minutes later he gets a text from Luka, saying he's excited and ready.
Yeah, that's probably exciting for him too.
Yeah. I just thought that was really cool. Like how fun for some young guy to go through that cool experience, even though the draft is so different and he's not on a stage or somewhere in a green room doing the hoopla, that he still got to go through those
He was with his family
skills.
though. At least,
Yeah.
he was with his family, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to need shooters since we got rid of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s not Steph, but Seth Curry.
Seth, yeah, I feel like he's kind of the replacement for Seth. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what my mind is telling me.
Well, I mean, he has to. I was me and my brother talking the other day. It's like if Curry's your last name, you can shoot. So,
Yeah.
So for us to lose him and bring in another shooter, I think that's going to give him a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm excited to see what Tyrell Terry does, and then Tyler Bay. So he was part of the Seth trade, actually, part of that getting that pick for Tyler. So he is, let's see, I think I wrote down he's 6'7", 215
Oh wow!
from Colorado.
How old is he?
Played in Colorado.
Do you know?
I don't know. But I made a note. So he's a defensive player. His whole, that's his whole thing. And his Colorado coach said he's quick with a fearless attitude as a defensive player. So I think that's a major hole the Mavs had to fill this offseason, right?
Yeah, in the playoffs, when we needed to get stops, we weren't able to do that. I think, we were efficient and a great offense, especially with Luka running the offense and his high basketball IQ. It's just when and especially in the playoffs when everything slows down, we're going to need people to get stopped. So I haven't seen him play, but if his job is to play defense, then that's good for us.
We need it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what NBA roster moves caught your eye? I mean, we didn't have much time to have a whole lot of movement, but even as we sit here and record this in early December, there's still stuff happening.
Yeah.
Still teams announcing people that are, extending contracts and still making trades and moving around. So what's notable to you?
Well, obviously the Lakers, they've got better. They're still, it's very rare where you see a team, improve that drastically, in my opinion, because when you're a champion, there's always moves being made. But I think the Lakers went from being one of the favorites last year when they accomplished that goal to the favorites, and everybody else is playing catch up.
Yeah.
So their roster moves were, they're obviously people were keeping an eye on that. I think that the recent trade, I don't think it's going to matter as far as playoffs, but the recent trade with John Wall and Westbrook, that one was kind of eye opening too, because I know since Westbrook said he wanted to leave Houston, that was going to be, that's something to keep your eye on. The one that everybody's thinking about coming up is where's James Harden going to go with Brooklyn? He's saying that he wants to go to Brooklyn, but I think there was a report saying that Golden State reached out to him after.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see, because Golden State has an influence too.
When do we see? When do we have to know that?
Well, so even though, and this is just my perspective, but
sure.
That's fine.
That's why you're here.
So even though he's demanded a trade and the players are empowered now and they can kind of dictate where they want to go, I think that it's going to be, since Houston still has his contract, and if they don't get the equal value trade for him, they'll just keep him until they do, because he's still under contract with Houston. So, but with that Westbrook trade that just happened, maybe it happens a little faster than we expect. So, well, I guess we'll see with that. But I think that's going to. If he goes to Brooklyn, that may give the Lakers a run. I think in the West, people are saying the Clippers. I think the Mavs in Denver really have a good shot. Mm-hmm. Because we have, not just Luka, but Porzingis. And I'm waiting till if Giannis doesn't sign anything. I know that Dallas is trying to go after him. I know, so.
So I thought that was official, that he's staying in Milwaukee. Is that not official?
Well, he hasn't signed anything yet. I know Milwaukee's doing everything they can to make sure that he stays, but until he signs, that don't even mean anything anymore, I guess, because I know, and I'm not, I'm a Giannis fan. I would want him to stay in Milwaukee because he wants to stay in Milwaukee because he wants to be like the Kobe and the Dirk, one organization for his whole career. But I won't be mad if Dallas got him.
Right.
I won't be mad at that at all.
Right, like stay there unless you come here.
Yeah. Don't go to Miami or Golden State. Come to Dallas.
Don't go anywhere else. You mentioned the Nets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Katie and Kyrie stay there, and then Steve Nash joined them.
Yeah.
I don't know when that happened, but I don't know if it was off season or not.
Yeah, it was right after
running together.
Yeah,
for me.
It was like right after the finals.
Yeah,
like
so that's new.
October-ish, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a great opportunity for Steve Nash to fall into. And the thing is, his basketball IQ is, like really high. It's the same thing. Like, there's a lot of people making a big deal out of it, but Jason Kidd, like when you're a point guard in the league, you're basically a coach on the court. So for basically you're just changing. You're just going from the court now to the bench,
drawing up the plays on the side.
Yeah, So instead of coaching, it's that's why I think Jordan and Magic weren't successful at it, because like you don't have, as a coach, you don't have control of the players. It's like playing video games and your controller don't work. That's kind of an analogy I like to use.
Yeah, that's good, because you can't make the players do anything.
Yeah.
You can make them. You can hope that you've said something that connects with them and turns on something in them to react to you and pull together and do what you've now said out loud to them, right? But you can't make them do it.
Nope. I mean, you as a coach, leadership, drawing up, high basketball IQ. Steve Nash. Even Steve Kerr, but going to say like they're, really, Popovich. There's something there that they get the best, especially Popovich. How you get the best out of your players with that, that San Antonio roster that they have since Tim Duncan. I mean, that's great coaching. So I'm interested to see what Steve Nash is going to do with these group of guys, because I know they're the ones that kind of picked them. They're the ones that like, hey, we want you to coach us.
That says a lot. So
It does.
that could be a fun thing to watch. Mm-hmm. All right, so we got through that odd 2020 bubble season. What do you think we're looking at for this next season? I mean, we know there's no bubble, and there's this 170-something page document on COVID protocols for the NBA. But at the same time, there's not really a lot of set in stone tight restrictions on if cases get to this, we're stopping play or whatever. It's sort of strange how they're doing this, and it might come back to bite them. But do you think we'll see fans in arenas? Do you think what do you think it's going to look like?
I guess it depends on the state because different states have the different rules and stuff like that. So I think some will. It's just I guess kind of like the NFL. Some will, some won't, and some will have a certain percentage. Maybe some has 50%, maybe some has 25%, maybe some has 10%. So, but I think they're gonna, from a business standpoint, they're gonna have to have fans because that's a lot where the revenues come from. I know it comes from the marketing, TV dollars and stuff like that. But
yeah, they want people in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's like NFL. The Jerrys of the world are saying we need to have people here for their own good.
Of course.
And then the California states of the world are saying you can't.
Yeah.
Even if you can't even play here right now. So that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. So December 22nd. Start of the season. Mavs got Christmas night.
Yeah.
Primetime game, I think, like a 7 p.m. game. Does that sound right? I think they just announced this, so I might not be right.
I don't know who they're playing though.
Okay, this could have. I swear this could have been a dream, but I swear it was Lakers.
Really?
Yeah, that could be wrong. I'll edit it out if it's really wrong and stupid. But
right. We'll just put it at the bottom.
I know, right? It might be. I don't know. That's why I'm I don't know if I heard that
Denver
or dreamt
Nuggets.
that. Right. So they're going to shoot for a 72 game season starting. Mavs starting on Christmas. So here's your chance to let me know who you see. I know you said Lakers a while ago, but who you see making to the finals. Let's do that.
From the East and the West?
Sure.
I mean, I guess it's hard to say. Like, right now, with the season starting, I would say, the Lakers coming out the West. And then, I got to see how KD plays before I can say the Nets, because I think Brooklyn can definitely come out the East if KD is, if KD's KD. But if KD's not KD, then I would have to choose between Miami and Milwaukee again. Yeah, Milwaukee again, because Miami they brought their core people back, and you can just from that experience that they're probably hungrier, especially the way they lost and especially they went out. They're probably hungrier now than before. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would say as much as I would love to say the Mavericks, I want them to prove everybody in Dallas wrong and themselves right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or if you're a homer, you always want to say your team, but realistically, something miraculous would have to happen for them to get up there, or something, or like Luka just said, the team that's gonna go the deepest is the team who manages the virus the best too, because you never know, that could completely affect. That could affect a lot.
I could.
I don't want it to come down to that. Obviously, you want a good season, the best talent's out there, but yeah, you never know. You never know what happens. Hopefully, Luka 3.0 is as good as everybody wants him to be, and KP is back soon. JJ's back, so there's some, and then these new young guys coming up. So maybe we'll at least get deep into the playoffs and have a good run.
I think we can shoot for the conference finals. I think that would be a successful season. I probably, as an athlete, you shoot for, there's goals that, like, I don't know if they thought they were going to be in the seventh seed last year. Maybe they thought they were going to be higher. I don't know.
Yeah.
They got knocked out by, the Clippers. But I would say maybe, 2 more rounds is a successful season for them because
progress.
if they have the core of their team coming back. But losing, like I said, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Seth, those are tough. I mean, those are tough losses. And, I mean, the good thing they're going, well, I know Seth went to the East. I forgot where Tim Hardaway went. But they're not in the same conference, so that's good.
Right. They'll lose the points, but they might not be playing against them, so that's good. All right.
Just twice a year.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time and your input. I always think it's interesting to hear from somebody who's lived through it a little and been on the other side. So I appreciate your time. And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
This is fun.
I know. And I know we've chatted before, so we have other topics we could talk about too.
Yeah.
So we'll have you back and we'll do this again.
Okay, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
No, thank you.
And thank you for listening to this episode of Hustle and Pro. Subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and we'll see you next week.